So it's Doctor Who Day, and which basically means Doctor Who premiered 61 years ago on this day, and they just dropped a trailer for a black and white episode that they've now colorized that they put into color. So this is called the War Games, and if you're not familiar with classic Who, it's the second Doctor's Regeneration episode. It's 10 parts, so it's quite long. I'm guessing they're going to cut it down just because it would be a lot more work to fully colorize 10 25-minute long episodes. I do want to ask you to take a second to subscribe. Subscribing is completely free, and it's the best thing that you can do to help me on my 5-year journey to becoming a full-time content creator. It genuinely fills me with joy every time a new person subscribes. So it's a long climb to 500 subscribers, but you build it one at a time. So if you're ready to join a community of story lovers and fashion lovers and costume lovers, then don't delay. Subscribe today. And they cut down the Daleks. So the Daleks is the second ever episode of Doctor Who that they released in color. I believe it was like last year. And so they're starting more and more to have official releases of black and white Doctor Who stories, but in color. And so let's take a look at this trailer.
5 escaped prisoners traveling in a 1917.
Okay, so if you're not familiar with the story, basically without giving away like big spoilers, the basic premise of the story is that the second Doctor is with the companions Jamie and Zoe, and they're part of this, and they've landed on what they think is like various wars in Earth history, but except they're all like just a few feet away from each other, so it's clearly not actually like the time period, and so they kind of discover what's actually going on, and I don't want to give away too much in case you haven't seen that story, but let's go ahead with the trailer.
5 escaped prisoners traveling in a 1917 British Army ambulance, clearly marked with a red cross.
Okay, so that character is sort of like a general who's a general who's kind of like running the different wars.
Prisoners traveling.
We see the costumes. I'll talk a little bit about what they've done with the costumes as far as color, because it is a little bit subjective. If you're not just straight up gonna find color photos of like we know they're wearing some color, but because the show's in black and white, they do take some freedoms with the color. So it looks like a bluish white shirt, and then a black jacket, and then like a black dark color or black bow tie. And then Jamie, they went for a black top and like a dark red kilt, and then Zoe, they've got the tan trench coat.
1917 British Army ambulance.
Okay, so here's a look at
5 escaped prisoners traveling in a 1917 British.
That's a caravan that they escape with some of the soldiers who they've turned.
Army.
That's they're like undercover at a demo of the different wars, and they've got like the kind of the, I don't know what you call it, virtual reality or augmented reality glasses.
Ambulance,
that is, I can't remember if they explain it as a TARDIS or if it's, I think it's a TARDIS as opposed to, if it's the spaceship that the villains are traveling in.
With a red cross.
There's the War Chief. The War Chief is the main villain from the story. He's got like a very, it's more obvious now that it's in color. I can see it's more obvious. It's like a very like Nazi inspired costume.
Time travelers.
I wonder. There's the kind of the whatever you call it, like the Roman or the like very ancient war. Okay, I don't need to go through every shot because it's a story that's been out.
I've heard disquieting rumors.
He looks so much like Steve Jobs. I think that's not the War Chief, but the War. They have different ranks. Whoever that character is working under the War Chief, he just reminds me of Steve Jobs.
There's some serious trouble here. Are they true?
Okay, so there's the second Doctor's TARDIS console room. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what they've done with this shot. So we saw the second Doctor's TARDIS in color during the two Doctors.
Come here, Jamie. Look at that. Look at the size of that thing, Doctor.
This looks kind of similar, but it's a little bit different. So, and then also the lighting is lower, which is interesting. Usually when you see the TARDIS in Classic Who, it's like very highly lit. So I don't have a problem with it. It's just a little bit odd that they went for a less colored. Maybe it's easier for them to do that. The colorization. I don't know how the technology works.
You know what will happen?
Your appearance has changed before. It will change
Okay,
again.
so that's the first. I think it's the first time that we saw Gallifrey in any Doctor Who episode.
You know what will happen?
Your appearance has changed before.
Yeah. Okay. So these are sort of either, I don't know if they're like judges or litigators or some the people putting the Doctor on trial in this in this episode. So it'll be cool to see how they visualize Gallifrey. I'll see if they have any shots of the actual like buildings in this trailer.
Change again.
December 23rd, so it's coming out a month from today as I record, and hopefully also posting this. So it'll be a nice little Christmas watch.
Goodbye.
Okay, so here's a look at the like the of Gallifrey. I see a little bit of green, a little bit of blue. So we'll see when it comes out more shots of how Gallifrey looks. And this is the Doctor saying goodbye to Jamie, sort of, but later they retcon that.
Jamie.
Oh, okay. So this is interesting actually. So they've gone with the new, like the way they visualize regenerations is very different in Classic Who versus New Who. They've gone for visualizing it the way they do in New Who, which is an interesting choice. I'll have to see when it comes out if I if I like it or not. But they did this. It's not surprising because they did this with Twice Upon a Time when they inserted a little bit into the first Doctor's regeneration. They had gone with the for the new scenes, at least that they filmed, they had gone with the newer New Who regeneration. Generation's always like very wonky the way it works. It works differently for different regenerations or different people. Like you have Romana basically being able to choose like how her new regeneration looks. See, there's like different wonky things that have gone on with the regeneration over the years.
You can't do this to me!
Okay, so here's the logo in color. We've seen that logo in color before at the during the animations for this era, and it's in this particular shot. It's the time vortex looks green. We'll see if it stays green or if it's more like the animations where during the intro it like shifts to different colors. Okay, so they are doing that. I would have known that if I had let it play for 1 second longer. So like in the animations, they're changing the colors of the time vortex. The War Games, that's I guess the logo, which it looks like they've just sort of like found the same font and redid. Color.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel.
Okay, so released on BBC iPlayer. Let's put a pin in that. First, I'm going to go through the article, and then we'll talk about how the release is and how to watch it if you're outside of the UK. Okay, so this article is straight from the BBC at doctorwho.tv or whatever the website is. It's confusing because there's another one that's like doctorwho.co.tv that isn't by the BBC, but this article that I'm sharing here is from the BBC. So we can take everything at least as accurate to what the BBC is saying about this. So okay, so let's see. Second Doctor Adventure: The War Games returns in full color. Classic Doctor Who story, The War Games, to be brought to life in stunning new colorization to air on BBC Four and iPlayer on the 23rd of December. It's time to step into the excitement of the War Games once again, as one of Doctor Who's most classic tales is to receive the spectacular new colorization. Originally aired in 1969, the War Games marked the end of an era for the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton, following him and his companions Zoe and Jamie as they land in a battlefield that appears to be a World War I military zone, but all is not as it seems. They soon discover that the soldiers from different historical periods have been abducted and are being manipulated in a cruel game. As they work to uncover the mystery behind the warlord and his twisted experiments. Okay, yeah. So there's like the warlord and the war chief. I might have mixed those two up when I was talking about the trailer. And his twisted experiments. The Doctor faces one of his most difficult challenges. Okay, so that's just summarizing what the episode is. For the first time, these original episodes have been meticulously colorized and enhanced with updated visual effects edited into a new 90-minute length feature length experience. Okay, so that's a confirmation that it's very, very cut down. So 25 episodes. If you take away both the intros, that's still like 22 or 23 minutes an episode, and then you have, so even at 22 minutes an episode without the intros, that's like 220 minutes, which is still like over 3.5 hours of content. So they've gone with 90 minutes, which I think was just to they say to appeal to today's modern audiences, which is true. And then also also that the what do you call it, the VFX artist or whoever's doing the colorizing, those people, it's a lot harder for them to edit more material. And I think I have mixed feelings about it, because I think if say there wasn't if say there wasn't the issue of the colorization artists, if that wasn't a thing, then I think there's kind of an argument for both, because on the one hand you want to experience the story as it aired, but then also on the other side of things you have Classic Who just has massive pacing issues, and I think cutting down a lot of these stories does help the story. So I feel like if the workload was issues weren't an issue, like let's say you could just hit one button to make everything color, then I think I would probably support like releasing it both ways, both as the regular version and the cut down version, just so you have options. But I see that there are pros and cons to both. Okay, let's get back to this article. So, with updated sound and a new score. Okay, so that worries me a little bit, because while I did, when they released the Daleks in the same way, while I did think they cut out, like what they cut out was like they cut out a lot of the stuff that um, um, made the pacing very slow, and I liked the way they colorized it. I did not like the new score that they wrote. I especially the sound mixing and sound design, where the the music was like at a way higher volume, so it was like hard to hear the dialogue over it. So the fact that they're doing a new score, that part of it worries me. This newly updated version of the War Games offers both fans and newcomers even more ways to watch the much loved classic story. Yeah, if you haven't watched Classic Who before, but you plan to watch this, let me know in the comments, because I'll be curious to know how many if anyone's actually anyone who hasn't already seen. I've already seen all of Classic Who that's available and able to watch, but I'm curious if this is actually bringing anyone new to Classic Who. In addition, the episode will also feature the second Doctor's never before seen regeneration into the third. Oh, okay. Um, okay, so that there's a lot to unpack there. I'll finish this, then I'll talk about it. Third Doctor John Pertwee, alongside recovered footage not seen since the original broadcast. Okay, so let me talk about this here because this is potentially a big deal. So this so firstly there's the issue of, is this going to be canon? And maybe the article will address this. And I'm curious to see if BBC is going to say that this is canon, because if this is canon, then this is gonna have like a huge effect onto the canon and to the lore. So basically, there was this. If you don't follow some of the fan theories around Classic Who in this era, there's a theory, because they leave out the second Doctor's regeneration, that actually there was all this time, like a time jump in between the last time we see him in this story, the War Games, and then when we see the third Doctor in the beginning of the next season, Spearhead from Space, his first episode. And so they call it series or season 6B, where there was the big theory that I have agreed with for a long time, is that there was a huge time jump in between the last time we see the second Doctor and the first time that we see the third Doctor. And there's a lot of evidence for this. There's the his role in episodes after his run, like the three Doctors and the two Doctors, where he's older, and how do you explain why he's older and Jamie's older. And so there's just a lot of an expanded media. That's this whole other thing, but there's a lot of evidence to support that theory, that there is a time jump in between in between the last time we see the second Doctor and the first time we see the third Doctor, where he goes on missions for the Time Lords. And so this is going to be this could potentially have a very big effect on the lore, because if they're treating this as canon, then they have an opportunity to either say, nope, there wasn't a time jump, or they have the time to say, this many years later in the Doctor's timeline, and now he's regenerating. So this has the potential to change a lot of things if they treat it as canon. Okay, Russell T Davies, showrunner, said, "From the day I arrived back on Doctor Who, this was the plan: to colorize old stories and bring them back to life. And on Doctor Who Day itself, it's great to announce this, celebrating the show's wonderful heritage with an all-time classic. It looks so vivid and new, and for fans of black and white, the original story in its original form will stay on BBC iPlayer, so everyone wins." And I think that's an important point, because a lot of people, like people who are upset about this, people who don't want these episodes in color, there's no reason why they can't just keep watching the black and white, and I don't see anything wrong with that. But it is, I feel like it's good to have more choices. I actually watched this transmit in 1969 at 6 years old, terrified of the Roman soldiers, fascinated by the villains with glinting spectacles, and in awe of the Doctor's brand new origin. Yeah, because it was the first time they kind of built that, introduced the idea of like Time Lords and Gallifrey in the story. Now fans old and new can enjoy it all over again. This special episode is the second time that a classic Doctor Who story has been colorized, following the Daleks in 2023, which was updated to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the franchise. Okay, and that's the clip we just watched. Okay, so what was missing from that announcement? Well, if you're in the US or somewhere else outside the UK like I am, you probably picked up on this quickly. So this is really being released in two places: BBC iPlayer and BBC 4, which is a broadcast channel of the BBC that airs in the UK. So this has no official international release, and so if you're outside the UK as I am, your best bet is probably going to be a proxy server or a VPN to watch this. To watch BBC iPlayer, I'll put a link to the one that I use. It's called Ola Better Internet in the description. So they're not going to put it on, at least as far as what they've announced so far. There's no plans to put it on BritBox. There's no plans to release it in the US as like a DVD or Blu-ray. There's no plans that they've announced to put it on iTunes or another video on demand service. So we'll see if any of that changes. But as far as things are right now, if you're outside the UK, your best bet is either a proxy server or VPN to be able to view it from outside the UK. So a lot of potential to change the canon with that second Doctor Regeneration scene. So that I'm super interested in for sure. I put together this second Doctor cosplay just out of stuff that I already had from other costumes or regular clothes that I had. So it's Doctor Who Day. I'm about to go celebrate by eating a bunch of dessert and cereal and watching the episode that I'm on in my classic Doctor Who rewatch, which is Trial of the Time Lord. The other episode where they put the Doctor on trial, Time Lords do. And let me know in the comments what's one thing that you love about Doctor Who on this wonderful Doctor Who Day. That's where I'll call it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you subscribe and check out another video. I have lots of Doctor Who videos that I'll link to in the description. Thanks so much, and remember, stories are for everyone.